Hi everybody, Mr. Vidich here. Today we're going to do lesson 5.3 algebraic terms. So today we're going to be looking at algebraic terms, and we're also going to combine our operations to see if we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide our algebraic terms. Okay, let's do a quick review here and see if we can match the following terms on the left with the ones on the right. Okay, so on the left here I have 3 times n. Well, 3 times n can be written as 3n, like that. Okay, so this is kind of the new advanced way of writing 3 times n. We don't even write the multiplication sign. All right, now we have b times minus 4. Well, we're going to write negative 4b. Again, we don't even write the multiplication signs. And, you're probably thinking, well, can I write it as b negative 4? Well, this is not a very good way of writing it because you always want the number first and then the variable. This might confuse you and you might think that this is b minus 4. So we don't write it this way. We're going to write it negative 4b. Okay? a times b, well, that's just a b. And then c times d times e, well, that's just as written as c d e. Okay, now let's look at the next question here. So in the term 4b, okay, let's find 4b here. It says here b, I should put a little negative here. Okay, so in the term negative 4b, so that's that one over here. Okay, the b is the variable. Okay, and the negative 4 is the coefficient. Okay, so that is the math term that we use for the number that's in front of the variable. So the negative 4 again is the coefficient. So make sure you're taking these notes down and following along with me. Okay, so what are the variables in C, D, E, and what is the coefficient? Well, the variables are always the symbols. So those are C, D, E. So C, comma, D, comma, E are the variables. Okay, and the coefficient, well, the coefficient, it might look like there's nothing written there, but remember, when we don't write the number in front of something, well, there's always a hidden 1. So it's really going to be 1 times C, D, E. So that is the coefficient in front of those variables. Okay. Again, so let's review some of this. So vocabulary. So sum means to add. Okay, add. Difference means to subtract, product means to multiply, and quotient means to divide. Okay, so let's do the first one here. So in example number 1, it says find the sum of 8a and negative 3a. So again, the sum meaning add. So let me rewrite this. So it's 8a plus, and again I'm going to use a bracket here for the second one, because I have 2 signs next to each other, so I don't want to confuse myself here. So now I'm going to rewrite that as 8a minus 3a. Okay, well, how do we do this one? The way I think of it is I always try to imagine some item or some object that a could be. In this case, a to me might be apples. Okay, and if I think of a as apples, then this question becomes a little bit easier. I can just say I have 8 apples, I subtract 3 apples, so I'm going to have 5 apples. Okay, so that's kind of a fun way of thinking when you're doing addition and subtraction and all your other operations with variables. Okay, let's do a few more. Find a difference between of 4x and 3xy. So I have 4x minus 3xy. Okay, there's a bit of a problem with this one. I hope you can spot it. And the problem is that our variables aren't the same. Okay, in this term I have an x, and in this term I have xy. So you can't really think of these as apples because they're not really the same thing. Okay, because this one has the y in it. And so how do we do this one? Well, we actually can't do this one. We would have to leave it as it is. It would be like, well, you've heard this before. It would be like subtracting apples and oranges. Okay, you have 4 apples, and you subtract 3 oranges. Well, how many do I have? Well, I don't really know, because they're different things. So here's a lesson that we can learn from this. Whenever your variables are not the same, okay, you cannot do your operations. So we would have to leave this one as it is. Okay. However, if it was 4xy minus 3xy, well, now they're the same, and now you can do your apples and apples. So it would be 4 minus 3, it would be 1xy, or just xy. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, when we're multiplying, okay, we can always multiply even if the variables do not match up. So find the product, which is multiplication of 6x and 4y. Okay, so let's write this like this: 6x and then 4y. Okay, here's how we're going to do it. So we're going to look at the coefficients first, and the coefficients are 6 and 4, and we're going to multiply those first. So 6 times 4 is 24, and then x times y, well, we're just going to write it as x times y, or in the new method, without using the actual multiplication signs, we can just write them next to each other. So what this is saying is 24 times x times y. Okay, but we don't really include the multiplication sign. All right, let's do a couple more. Find the product of negative 2m. So negative 2m, and let me put the bracket there, and negative mn. Okay, here's where things get a little bit tricky. Don't forget, there's a negative 1 here. Okay, so we're going to do the coefficients first, just like the last one. I have negative 2 times negative 1. Well, a negative and a negative gives me a positive. So there's my answer. Now, m times m, well, I'm going to write it as m times n. But remember this little trick: when we have two variables like this multiplying each other, I can write it as, so m times m, you can write it as m squared. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this a better way, saying 2m squared n. Okay, good. It says find the quotient of 18a when divided by 3b. Okay, so let's do division here. So 18, let me write this out first. So 18a divided by 3b. All right. Again, we're going to do the coefficients first. So 18 divided by 3, well, that's just going to be 6, and then it's going to be a over b. Okay, that's it. All right, you can't really do anything with those variables because they're not the same. So they're a and b. All right, let's look at this one. Find the quotient of negative 25xy divided by xz. Okay, well, let's do the coefficients first, as we always do. So we have negative 25 divided by 5. Well, that's going to give me negative 5. And now now because I have two variables that are the same, x and x, well, x divided by x, well, anything divided by itself is 1. So really, those x's disappear. And then I have y and no other y, and I have a z on the bottom and no other z. So I'm just going to leave those where they are. Okay, hopefully you've taken notes here and followed along with me. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.